Okay, we call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Adoption of the agenda.
Prior to the adoption of the agenda, may it be noted for the minutes that the agenda has been amended to add item 13, being a closed session to deal with an emergent item relating to labor relations. The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby adopts the regular council agenda for March 13th, 2025 as amended.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconder. Councillor Denny, all in favour? It's carried. Disclosure of any pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none. We go to 4 delegations. Chris Kane, plant manager, KSR, no parking signage, South Side, Central Street, Rodney. Welcome, Chris. Can you please put your mic on?
Is that good?
Thank you. That's good.
Okay. So I think most people here, they know the tenuous relationship we've had between KSR and the neighbor that we have on Center Street. And it seems to escalate. There doesn't seem to be a lot of change on what's going on there. And I mean, the company has, conceded to a lot of stuff. If we look at the north side, we put no parking on there, which we fully agree with, to get this trucks to stop parking along there. We have notified the dispatch, they're not our drivers, to try to stop along there. And then most recently, there was no parking erected on the south side of the street, which the drivers, when they do leave, they will stop on occasion and close their doors there. Sometimes they'll go down the road. And what this is creating is a bunch of nuisance. I mean, we have the police coming out there constantly because of one individual who keeps phoning the police. And I'm sure he's phoning the municipality with a bunch of stuff as well too. Looking at those signs, we would love it if those signs were removed on the south side so the no parking was gone. But if we could just change them to say no stopping for longer than 5 minutes, that would allow the drivers to actually shut their doors. And when we read the bylaw and we go through it, when you're engaged in the delivery of product to a business, you're allowed to shut the doors. I've checked with the bylaw officer and he said, yes, that falls within that. However, the calls, they just keep coming and coming and coming. And when we look at that, like KSR, I mean, we've been in this community for a long time and we've enjoyed a nice, I'll say, unfree trucks passing up and down there. We do understand there's a new neighbor in that area and we have to respect some of that. But it's getting to the point now where it's out of control. Like, I mean, the police coming out to the plant once a week, the constant phone calls and stuff like that. If the no parking signs could be changed, that would alleviate it. I believe the only reason they were put up was to try to satisfy that individual, which then just created more problems than what you were trying to solve, right?
Okay. Okay, thank you for that.
Okay.
We've taken note of that, by the way.
Okay.
And so we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, I just, is there not a difference between a no parking sign and a no stopping sign? I thought that was the case, that no parking meant that you can't exit your vehicle and leave it for an extended period of time, and no stopping means that there's a difference in the signage. So does no parking mean that they can't stop to close their doors? It's just a thought.
Lee, can you answer that one? If you can. I can't.
Yeah, through the chair, there is a difference between no stopping and no parking, and there's also no standing, but just not to confuse things, the no parking signs that are there under our municipal parking bylaw, any vehicle engaged in the delivery of goods or persons are allowed to stop temporarily for that purpose. So trucks that are stopping to close the doors on their trailer would be under our no parking bylaw would be allowed to do so with the no parking signs that are there currently.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, so that means that those no parking signs that are there are not stopping them from pulling over and closing their doors.
Correct.
They can't get cited for parking.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from council? Thank you. So we go to, we go to 4.2. Jason from Dillon Consulting. Have you got to read that first, 211?
Prior to the delegation, a recommendation must be read that in accordance with section 3.5 of bylaw 2024-05, being a bylaw to establish rules of procedure for the meetings of council, West Elgin Council, hereby allow Nick Emery, Dillon Consulting Limited, 1/2 hour, 30 minutes for item 4.2 delegation, suspending the rules of section 6.8 of bylaw 2024-05.
Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried. Jason, would you please get up and make your,
Yes, sure. Are you able to share the
Yep,
presentation?
I'm just
Terry?
getting that up right now.
Perfect. Great, thank you. So my name is Jason Johnson with Dillon Consulting. I'm here to present the findings of two separate studies that Dillon undertook for the municipality. One looking at the consumption and meter reads, and the other looking at just the water distribution system as a whole by completing a hydraulic model. Next slide, please. So the scope of the project was to assess the municipality West Elgin's water consumption calculation methodology, to develop a hydraulic model of the existing water distribution network, and then to review the model performance of the municipality's water distribution network upon completing that water model. Next slide, please. So the project objectives were to document current and previous methods of how the municipality calculates its water consumption, to provide recommendations for a representative calculation methodology for water consumption, to develop a validated hydraulic model of the existing water distribution system, to identify areas within the network that do not meet minimum performance requirements in accordance with provincial guidelines, and finally to develop recommendations for future capital projects to improve the operation of the distribution system and to service future growth. Next slide, please. So project constraints and working through these two assignments were some gaps in the existing GIS data, some outliers in the provided field measured data, as well as to some limited background documentation from previous projects. Next slide. So a summary of the procedures and steps for both projects. So regarding the water consumption review, Dillon reviewed meter data for 2021, 22, and 23, as well as the same years for system SCADA data. We also reviewed the Aqua annual reports from those years, consumption calculation sheets, and we also recreated some calculation sheets and evaluated possible modifications. Regarding the water distribution system review, we processed all of the GIS data using ArcGIS to clean up any data points and allow input to the modeling software. We imported the water system asset GIS data to Water Connect. So that would have been the shape files for all of the pipes, hydrants, valves, chambers, etc. We completed a thorough review and optimization of the system connectivity in the model, and we assigned member Tri-County supply and consumer demand to various nodes. We validated the model via actual hydrant flow tests, and then we ran the model and assessed system performance under existing and proposed scenarios. Next slide. So regarding the consumption review, the West Lauren Water Treatment Plant currently supplies water to West Elgin and other tri-county municipalities. Until 2021, the West Elgin consumption was calculated using customer meter data as follows. So it was basically just West Lauren consumption plus the Rodney consumption, and that's how West Elgin's was determined, or sorry, West Lauren plus Rodney, and that's how West Elgin's total consumption was determined. That was changed in 2022 and onward, where the consumption was calculated using SCADA data from the water treatment plant and from Tri-County supply flow meter chambers as follows. So it was basically the flow supplied at the water treatment plant minus the sum of the flows supplied to all other Tri-County members. Next slide, please. So the key findings as part of this review is that there was a significant deficit between the total flow supplied by the water treatment plant and the total consumption for the Tri-County members was identified using the equation below. So the annual deficit is equal to the flow supplied by the water treatment plant minus the sum of the flows supplied to all Tri-County members. This deficit was determined too significant to be reasonably attributed solely to losses in the West Lauren portion of the West Elgin water system. And we feel that a more accurate method for calculating West Elgin's consumption is presented by the following equation, which is that consumption would be equal to the Rodney consumption plus the Creenan consumption plus the West Lauren consumption plus West Lauren flushing and West Lauren leakage. So kind of in summary, the current method used to calculate the municipality's consumption is definitely, we feel, an overestimation. Next slide. So the model created of West Elgin's water distribution system consists of approximately 1,700 customer meters. Represents Rodney, West Lauren, Clackan, Eagle, New Glasgow, and Port Glasgow, and I believe a population of about 5,000. The distribution system, the water mains range from 100 millimeter to 350 millimeters, so 4-inch to 14-inch, with a total length of approximately 160 kilometers, including 12 kilometers of Tri-County owned mains supplied by the central water treatment plant. And as we mentioned, the hydraulic model was validated using the hydrant test data that was provided. Next slide, please. So the key findings from our water distribution model is that it performed well under existing conditions with minimum pressures greater than the provincial requirement of 40 PSI under average day demand. The model of the existing system showed sufficient capacity to accommodate the proposed growth identified in West Elgin's official plan, while also maintaining the minimum pressure of 40 PSI under average day demand, which is a good thing. Although the model did show that pressures in the West Elgin system do fall below 40 PSI under the scenario where the maximum rates allowed under the Tri-County Board Agreement for member municipalities are applied. So on top of the full growth of West Elgin's OP and everybody using their max allowable demand, there are some shortcomings in the north end of the system where it does start to drop below 40 PSI under average day demand. So we recommend that fire flow results from our memo should be reviewed with the municipality's fire protection services, and also that the hydraulic model should be periodically updated as the network expands and the system could be further evaluated for future development in the municipality. And I think, next slide, that's everything I have. Happy to answer any questions that staff or council have. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. and thank you for your presentation. So in the agenda, obviously, there was a lot more information that we had to unpack. So bottom line, is there anything that you would recommend that we need to do in the near future to essentially ensure that that water flow, especially for fire services, is adequate?
I would say based on our analysis, I think you're in pretty good shape in the near term. There's nothing of serious concern, certainly nothing of concern at all based on the full build out of your current OP. There are some shortcomings when we apply the growth based on the OP and other member municipalities using their full demand in the agreement. The only thing that I would maybe suggest is that I think it would be wise to have discussions, even if it's many years down the road, but to think about the timeline of what's beyond that next piece where member municipalities are needing more than the current agreement. And because it's easier to talk about things and negotiate, I think before you get to that, that's where I would recommend that that's discussed, because I think most of, the tri-municipalities would likely agree that an upgrade to the main supply main should be reasonably cost shared amongst, the municipalities. But if for some reason one municipality has higher growth than others and they want to trigger that upgrade first, there could be resistance from the other municipalities to cost share or timing. So, I think that it just would be wise to sort of have some of those considerations. There is some additional scenarios that we could run pretty easily now that we have the model completed, and it might be wise to maybe look at some of that. We didn't kind of run a scenario that looked at how much further could we build out the system before it breaks. It kind of was just noted that there would be some shortcomings in the municipality of West Elgin based on kind of full build out, full growth, but we didn't necessarily kind of apply that such that is that after year 15, year 25, that would be a relatively easy exercise. And then, we could apply some we could use existing growth, say over the last 5 years in each of the municipalities, apply that forward and sort of come up with a roughly projected year when you might be getting into that system kind of being tapped out for capacity. And like I said, it could be 20 plus years, 30 plus years away, but it would be a major undertaking at that time and just likely something that's worth discussing well ahead of time. So everybody's kind of on the same page when you get to actual cost sharing and writing checks. Yes. Problem. Thank you.
A follow-up, Mr. Mayor, if I can, and it's more for our CIO. Is that information that we can share with Tri-County Water Board?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe this report was though for West Elgin. And so then council, I guess it would be with your blessing to share that, providing that then the consultants also are fine with us sharing beyond the scope of the work.
Yeah, we would have no issues with that.
And further, probably it is a good way to bring the conversation up to Tri-County and then to further the conversation of, we've looked at this in sort of our system, but we need to look at the systems not exclusive of each other, but inclusive. So maybe we do need to ask the Tri-County Water Board for their consideration of doing a similar study or maybe a complementary study that would look at the system as a whole, because we can't just say, here's our infrastructure when our infrastructure is tied to one another.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much for that information. And we'll certainly take it on.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we go to 5, adoption of the minutes.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby adopt the minutes of February 27th, 2025 as presented.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes. Seeing none. We go to 7, which is staff reports, planning. Severance application file E15-25, recommendation to Elgin Land Division. Welcome, Robert, planner. Mr. Robert Brown, can you take us through it, please?
Will do, Mr. Mayor. Hello to everyone else in the gallery this afternoon. The application before you is a request for a surplus dwelling at 24915 Crennan Line within the municipality. Parcel's 50 acres in size currently and contains a house and some outbuildings on it. What's being proposed is to sever off a just over 1 acre lot on the property, leaving just short of 49 acres on the remnant parcel. What is proposed is the house and one of the outbuildings. There are a couple of other outbuildings on the property that cross lot lines. Those will be required to be removed from the property. It's been reviewed in the context of the recently updated provincial policy statement, as well as our recently updated West Elgin official plan, and is in compliance with both of those, as well as the county's surplus dwelling severance policies. There are no livestock issues on the property or nearby, and comment from staff was reviewed, and any items that were required to be included as conditions are. This particular property does not require drainage apportionment. Infrastructure did request that access to the retained parcel be formalized. We're coming across a number of these farm parcels where there is technically access there, but it really hasn't been formalized. So we'll have that done, as well as 911 numbering will be placed on the property as a requirement, both locally and the county requests that as well. The property is serviced by municipal water. And then, of course, comment from building was that any demolition of buildings will require permit, and septic inspection will be required. That has been submitted. There has been some additional details required for building review, but no concerns with the septic at this point. From a zoning standpoint, this will of course come back to council once it's been to the Land Division Committee, and assuming approval, the lands will be rezoned to prohibit dwellings on the remnant farm parcel, and the lot itself that's severed off will be rezoned to the standard 83 restricted agricultural zone. And unless there are questions from council or anyone in the audience, that is all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any questions from council? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, could I have the recommendation, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner, regarding severance application file E15-25, comments to Elgin County Planning Report 2025-06, and that West Elgin Council hereby recommends approval to the Land Division Committee of the County of Elgin for severance application file E15-25, subject to the lower tier municipality conditions in Appendix 1 of this report, and further that West Elgin Council directs administration to provide this report as municipal comments to the County of Elgin.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Doherty. Seconder? Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. This takes us on to 7.2, fire. Monthly fire updates, January and February 2025. Are you going to take us through that? Jeff?
Yes, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So this is the two-month report, I guess, for January and February. Just a couple quick highlights. We have 7 recruits that are well into the NFPA 1001 recruit class through Elgin Middlesex Fire School. And all reports are they're quite enjoying it and doing well. Congratulations to our recently filled officer positions within the fire department. And also we had, going back to January, the firefighters had some fun. They paired up with Dutton Dunwich for skate with firefighters at the community center. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, a mover, please. Yes, okay.
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the monthly fire report for January and February 2025 from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, for information purposes.
Okay, a mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. 7.2, pre-budget approval. Jeff, I think that takes you up to you again, doesn't it?
It is. Thanks, Your Worship. So, pre-budget approval request. So this is for purchase for an SCBA order, which is, as identified in the report, has been consistent with our purchases, capital purchases over the past few years. We are looking at some savings with a bulk order and an April 1st price increase coming. So just asking for council's approval to go ahead and order that equipment.
Anything, any information from council? No? Could I have the recommendation then, please, on that one?
Thank you. The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, and that West Elgin Council provide pre-budget approval for the 2025 project identified within this report.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? Carried, thank you. 7.2.3, washroom, Station 1.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So we have a report here for council consideration and approval. If they wish for a renovation for the washroom at Station 1. So council probably or may recall this has been in the capital budget for the last couple years for a renovation of the existing washroom at Station 1 in Rodney and the addition of a second washroom in a underutilized space that's currently there. As everyone's probably aware, the training room there at the Rodney Fire Station gets quite a bit of use. And there hasn't been any updates or really modifications done since it was originally constructed. So there is three. We had the three contractors. Proposals there all had the same scope of work, and we're able to visit the site with staff. So we have a recommendation to approve the one from Baines Contracting. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions from council? The recommendation, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Jeff MacArthur, Fire Chief, and that staff be authorized to accept the quote from Baines Contracting, Inc. in the amount of $31,935 plus HST for a remodel of the existing washroom and to build a new washroom.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Okay, that moves us on to 7.3. Tender results, Fluor and Drain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a procedural report. The Fluor and Drain, which was presented at the last meeting. This is just to award the tender, so you can see that with the attachment, the low tender that was received was from Mondin Excavating for the Fluor and Drain, and there is no issues from the drainage superintendent with accepting this low tender. Any questions at all from council?
Any questions from council?
Okay.
No, seeing none, it's okay, thank you.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshuk, clerk, regarding tender results, Fluor and Drain, and that council approve the low tender submission for Mondin Excavating for the Fluor and Drain in the amount of $21,131, HST included.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. 7.4, operations, infrastructure and development. Monthly operations update, February 2025. Yes, please, Lee, if you,
Through the chair, if everybody's had a chance to read it.
everybody's at it, yeah. Any questions from council? Okay, can I have the recommendation then, please?
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the monthly operations update report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, for information purposes.
Okay, mover, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. Community service and clerks, monthly update, February 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This update was provided to council for the recreation and the bylaw departments. Did any members of council have any questions regarding the community services? The recommendation,
none,
the
no.
recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Terry Toshchuk, clerk, regarding community services monthly update, February 2025, for information purposes.
Okay, mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? Carried, thank you. Okay, so we go to community grants,
Thank you, Mr.
2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report is presented to council on an annual basis. We receive the community grants. And so just to quickly go through the report, the Community Grant Fund is in place to assist local nonprofit organizations and groups for the purpose of recreation, arts, culture, and environmental and other activities that support purposes beneficial to the community. So in previous years, council has allocated $30,000 to community grants, typically awarding $20,000 at the initial applications and leaving $10,000 to remain available throughout the year. So staff has been receiving phone calls and emails just regarding the status of approvals. So this is why it's brought to council. Many in-kind hall rental requests. So therefore it's coming to council today to receive some direction. And attached to that was the list of the grants, a summary of the grants as well on an Excel spreadsheet, and then also our grant policy as well. So certainly we'll open this up. I see Deputy Mayor Tellier's got her hand up.
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you for that, through the chair. I'm just seeing one that's missing. So I'll discuss that with you later, I guess. Just the one. It's so rural. It was for back in September, and I told them to reapply. It was for chicken wire. See, rural ask. Around the community garden in Rodney from Stacey Alette. You and I had emails back and forth, and then I sent her the form. So I'll maybe just have her reapply or reconnect to you, or what should I do?
Yeah. I don't recall seeing that one come in for the 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillors, anything else? Yes, Councillor Denning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair, it's really, really great to see so many people this year applying and just the general awareness of our community fund that's out there. So normally we do $20,000 out of the gate and we hold 10,000 back. Right now we're at like 33,000. Is that correct?
The total $34,777.70. That includes the in-kind as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if we've ever had that many right out of the gate before, right?
Last year's was not that high.
So would it be worth, as council, considering today filling that $30,000 so that people aren't waiting to reapply? Because I mean, my thought is the early bird gets the worm. They've done the work. They put their applications in. I don't know. I mean, subject to the Ms. Zulette and her chicken wire application, I think that I mean, for instance, all of them are very, very worthy. One is a double, a whammy, I think, which is the shuffleboard. There's two different grant applications for shuffleboard programs. For instance, if we were to take one of those grant applications and move it aside because there's already one there, and take the $5,000 that Newbury Hospital is asking for and cut that to 2,500, that gets us right there under the 30,000, and then we're pretty much done for the year. Just a thought.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anything else from council? Okay. Councillor Statham.
Sorry, thank you very much through the chair. I think that's a great idea, Councillor Denning. My only concern with that is if there's other organizations, like you said, the early bird gets the worm, but if there's something that comes up mid-year that maybe was not on the horizon, we won't have anything left. That's my only concern with that. I think it's a great idea, but just a little bit, yeah.
We've
go
got
ahead.
a little time. We've got a little time. I mean, decision doesn't have to be done now this minute, does it? Go on.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, thank you. It's been 30,000 for how many years?
Through the chair, 30,000 was allocated to 2023 budget and 2024. That amount was lowered. I believe it was 50,000 prior to that.
Mhm. So would it be then worth considering perhaps going to 35 this year based on the fact that there's been so much interest and too that it has been that for a couple of years now? That'd be something to consider in our budget this year.
We can certainly incorporate $35,000 into 2025 operating budget. If we could, it's hard for me to provide council reassurance that, this is the adequate amount. If we could defer this decision to the next council meeting, I would feel more comfortable to provide council with the more consistent answer.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Anything else? Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Oh. Deputy Mayor Tellier, did you put your hand up?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I'm also thinking with the economic times that are going on, food insecurities have been indicated by both the food banks, our health center, and some other charities through the area. Maybe something else will come up through the year. So to have that raised a little bit, to have a bit of wiggle room, and to have it deferred, to actually look to see what that room looks like would be a great, just 2 weeks. To give us 2 weeks till the next meeting would be a great idea. Just thinking ahead, but what we're all facing right now in the world and what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. The recommendation, please.
The amended recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the 2025 Community Grant Applications Report from Terry Toshtuk, Clerk, and that West Elgin Council defer the decision to a subsequent meeting.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. Corporate, 7.6, corporate services and finance. Council remunerations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this report comes back every year. It is under section 284 of the Municipal Act. There's a requirement that the treasurer must submit council remuneration and expenses for the prior year before March 31st. So the purpose of the report is mainly for information only, but as well as provide ratepayer full transparency of council remuneration and expenses. Does anybody have any questions?
Seeing none.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Emba Dura, Manager of Corporate Services, Treasurer, regarding 2024 council remuneration and expenses report for information only.
Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. 7.6.2, 2024 public salary disclosure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So another report from Finance Department. Basically, it's 2024 public sector salary disclosure, mainly called as a sunshine list. So this is just for information only, as well as heads up to council and the public, as this report will be available for public view within the next few days, as our deadline to submit the information was March 8th. So basically, the sunshine list, the public disclosure report is annual release mandated by the Public Sector Salary Disclosure Act of 1996, which requires organizations receiving public funding to disclose the salaries of employees earning 100,000 or more annually. There has been in last year, there has been significant increases as our municipality went through pay equity review and organizational review. All wages have been adjusted to the 50th percentile. So the wages have been approved by council last year in June. However, in preparation for the information disclosure, this is for council members and the public, just a big heads up.
Okay, thank you. Questions? I'm sorry, I'm not taking them from the floor. Yes, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Embadura, Manager of Corporate Services, Treasurer, regarding 2024 public sector salary disclosure for information only.
Move it, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. Okay, 7.7, Chief Administration Officer, Old Town Hall Assessment Quote. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, previous to my arrival, there had been some conversations and a grant submitted for renovations of the Old Town Hall in Rodney. Those were received and a $2.1 million grant was available. And that was for the build out of the Old Town Hall, so a library, cultural space and a community space. However, this happened pre-COVID, and then now post-COVID with the explosion of costs for building, we're considering the fact that that full build out probably will be more than the original estimate or budget allotment. So council, at your November 28th, 2024 meeting, you requested that staff go back and have a quote assessment completed of the building so that you can understand what are the needs of that building. Because of the age of the building, there may be more than just minor renovations. We may look at structural renovations. So what are the needs to make sure that the building is structurally safe? And what is the cost in order to do that? And then the second question we would ask if we complete this assessment is, knowing the understanding that cost, would there be any reserve funds from the original grant to complete any of the original design, and what would that be? And then to also understand what would be the full cost if we were to proceed, or council wants consideration of proceeding with the original design as planned. So we did reach out to Street Engineering, and they did return a quote for $17,230. So council, we're just seeking your direction to proceed with engaging with Streets as engineers in order to complete the assessment of the facility. That will help both your Old Town Hall Committee and yourselves decide on next steps of the building. Any questions, Mr. Mayor?
Any questions from council at all? If we don't find out how much things are going to cost, it's something we can't start. So it's in agreement to go along with that? Okay, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the Old Town Hall Engineering Assessment Quote Report from Robin Greenall, CAO, and that council pre-approve the payment of the services to Spreet Associates as quoted to be included in the 2025 operating budget.
Move it, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. West Lawn Library and Community Complex renovations.
Thank you. It's me again.
Thank you.
Council, last year during your discussions, there was conversations around renovations to our West Lorne Library. There's been some interest for them to expand into the unused space of the employment services. The county has expressed its interest in proceeding. So for awareness to those who may be joining us, the model is that the local municipality provides the facility and the capital upgrades while the county provides the services, the library services and the equipment needed to there within. So we have started those conversations about exploring development of that space. And so this report is to request sort of your approval to move ahead in having sort of architectural drawings and cost drawings to assess what the cost of that renovation project would be. At the same time, I am proposing to this council, because we are already looking at this main space, if I may backtrack a little bit, once we start renovations, we may be in a position that we also need to address our washrooms because they are probably not to our 2025 AODA compliance. So once we're in a building and start renovating, then we may be required to also make sure that AODA requirement is met. So while we are in the space of this main space, my recommendation is also to council to look at these council chambers with the possibility of reducing the size of the kitchen and pushing this wall back, therefore having a greater size for council chambers and then more space for our community and more space for council and in the layout of their dais as they have it or don't have it. The only reason I offer that suggestion is we just take advantage of using our consultants and our trades that we already have them here. So once they're here, it's cheaper to have the work done. But council, I can ask if you would like me to proceed with getting this quote. I can ask them to divide that out. What would library and bathroom look like? What would council chambers look like? That way you can decide how you wish to proceed once the costings come forward. So with that, I'm asking your approval to move forward to have architectural drawings and costings completed. We estimate the cost of this will be around $15,000.
Thank you. Anything from council on that? Yes, Councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair, and thank you, Robin, for that report. Definitely makes sense. Exciting to see what new spaces we can carve out for additional services for our community. That being said, if we're going to start talking about amending the size of our council chambers, which clearly there's more interest in council meetings these days, which is a great idea to be able to accommodate more people. There's been certainly a lot of people in West Lorne that have felt that they have missed this as a community space, especially the kitchen. And I know that we have our Scout House, but obviously that has not had the great appeal that we were hoping it would have. I'd just like council to consider the fact that if we're going to start doing renovations and at the very least starting to do some planning, is there a better space for us to have our council meetings? For instance, could we consider doing our council meetings downstairs? We have an elevator, leaving this space for, to be allowable for community groups to meet again and have access to the kitchen. It's just something I want to put out there because I continuously hear from people in the community that it is something that that they really miss. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any other comments? Seeing none, but we'll take that into account.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the West Lorne Library and Community Complex renovations report from Robin Greenall, CAO, and that council directs staff to proceed with contracting Spreet Associates to complete architectural drawings and cost estimates for the renovation project.
Okay, can I have a mover? Deputy Mayor Tellier has moved, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, so we go committee and board reports or updates. Notice of motion? Seeing none? No?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So item number 8 is just council's opportunity to provide any updates from appointed committees or boards if they do have any updates.
Seeing none? Council inquiries and announcements? Do you just go right through?
Yep. Item 9 was notice of motion and none were received prior to the meeting. And number 10 is council inquiries or announcements. So this is council's opportunity for any informal inquiries or provide any announcements.
Okay. Councillor Statham.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. I just wanted to address the meeting that was held on Monday for the Port Glasgow Trailer Park. So it was a great meeting. As you can see, there's a number of people in the gallery here who also attended the meeting. I wanted to say that it was a very constructive meeting. I think there was some very strong community feedback, which was appreciated. I think it's really important for the community to get out there and voice their opinion. One thing that I did want to make a note of that was requested that we acknowledge the receipt of the petitions that were received. So we did receive 900 submissions from Adam Lumley regarding the sale of the park, as well as 600 from CARM. And that was provided to council and received. So I wanted to acknowledge that. The other thing I wanted to mention is that based on the strong community feedback that we received during the meeting, I think it's important that this topic be brought back to council for discussion. So I just wanted to mention that a request has been submitted to allow council to revisit the decision, and that will be coming forward in the following meetings. I don't have an exact date for that, but again, we will provide updates as that process unfolds. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
Thank you. Councillor Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Statham. That was great. Appreciate that. I just wanted to do a quick little statement, just kind of with regards to the certainly the uncertain times that we as Canadians right now are experiencing. I know that it can make us feel really powerless when we turn on the news. I just want to say that we can't always buy Canadian, because sometimes that's really difficult to do. But what we can do is we can buy local. We can support our local community. We have grocery stores, we have mechanics, we have gas stations, we have hairdressers. We have just about everything we could possibly need in our community to make our houses and our homes work. So this is just a reminder through us as council, who are representatives of the community, to do our best to remind people about all of the great services and businesses that we have in West Elgin, and encourage everybody to take a closer look at what West Elgin has to offer for consumer products and services. And let's support one another and do our very best to buy local. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well said. Anything else? Deputy Mayor Tellier, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, just wondering about our meet with the mayor on the 19th of March and how that's filling up and how that's going.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through the chair, so we have so far had a few appointments booked. We have some still available. So if anybody would like to meet with Mr. Mayor, it is on March 19th from 1 to 3 p.m. I don't recall offhand. I don't have it in front of me what times are still available. They're meant to be their one-on-one conversations with Mayor Leatham. So we ask that you do call the office. It is my extension that is on there. However, if you cannot get through to me, either leave a voicemail or send me an email, please. And we will get you booked in, or certainly the gals that are answering the phone. I have left them the list as well, as I won't be in tomorrow. But certainly people can call and make an appointment with Mayor Leatham. And moving forward, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
And schedule some more times.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So with that, do we go to this and then you're going to read that? No,
Oh, just, you stated about the mayor, I mean, it's just, the mayor and someone like that. Visiting the mayor and the mayor?
That's correct.
yeah,
One-on-one.
Yes.
Like,
Well-
someone else but the mayor?
If I may,
no,
I will be in attendance with the mayor
So it's really
described.
not just
Well,
one-on-one.
I'm sorry, I'll be in attendance with the mayor described.
So someone else brings somebody else with them, or is it just the one against the?
Yeah.
How is that?
well, the one is for recording. That's all that they're there for.
So we can bring a reporter with us?
Good.
That, fair enough?
Here.
Well, it's a one-on-one, and then it's not a one-on-one, it's a two-on-one, right?
Mr. Mayor, if I might,
Yes.
maybe these are questions that we could handle outside of the meeting. We can
Sure.
certainly return back to folks.
It's not
Okay.
rocket science.
Yep, thank you.
Is it
Maybe,
one-on-one or is it not a one-on-one? Is it a two-on-one or a one-on-one?
Mr. Mayor, you might want to let the, say, we'll handle afterwards and
Yeah.
certainly. Thanks.
This is something that we'll look at. Okay. Was it this year he's going to read out?
Yep.
Okay, so let's have the recommendation, move on.
We're moving on to item number 11, correspondence.
Yeah,
Mr. Mayor?
correspondence.
Thank you. Item number 11, correspondence, just a mention for everyone here that item number 11.3, which was a letter received regarding Port Glasgow Trailer Park. I have had a conversation with Mr. Miller, and this will be on the next agenda on March 27th. And Mr. Miller will be coming as a delegation. So it will be noted for record that it will be back on the next agenda. The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive and file all correspondence not otherwise dealt with.
Okay. Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. So we go to 12 items requiring council consideration. None presented prior to the meeting?
Correct.
Okay. So on this, we're going to move into a closed session.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prior to moving into closed session, a recommendation must be passed that in accordance with section 3.5 of bylaw 2024-05, being a bylaw to establish rules of proceedings for the meeting of council, West Elgin Council hereby allow the late submission item to the agenda, being a closed session item for the purpose of labor relations, suspending the rules of section 6.8 of bylaw 2024-05.
Move it, please. Councillor Denny, seconded. Councillor Statham, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. We're going to take a
I
break.
need the recommendation to move into closed. The recommendation to
Oh,
move into
okay.
closed is that West Elgin Council hereby move into closed session at 5:59 PM to discuss one matter pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239-2D, being labor relations or employee negotiations, union matters.
Okay, I'm moving for that, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Doherty. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you.
Is there anyone in the hall?
We resume back into open meeting.
Reporting from closed session at 6:11 PM, council received one item relating to section 239-2D of the Municipal Act for information purposes.
Okay, thank you. We don't need a mover and seconder for that. Okay, so we go to 15, which is confirming bylaw.
That bylaw 2025-14, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on March 13th, 2025, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Mover, please. Councillor Statham, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? That's carried, thank you. And 16, which is adjournment.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 6:12 PM to meet again at 4:00 PM on Thursday, March 27th, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much.